So I did a little bit of extra work. Used some half blocks and like strips to kind of give a little more definition to the outside. Add a little more room on the inside. Like these are half blocks now for the walls. And as you can see, I added a fireplace. I might change the design a little bit, but it looks pretty good overall. I was just gonna add a little more to the inside. I think I'm definitely changing the roof. Like the front of the roof is just too high. I'll probably just have it slant up like here and then go right back down, like a more traditional roof. Just so it doesn't stand out as much. And let's see. I was trying out a couple different things for like a little table and chair. Not that you really sit in Minecraft, but nice to have ambiance. Whoa, yeah, that's not what I meant to do. And there we go. That doesn't look too bad. And I did bring, yes I did, some wool. Maybe try like a little carpet. And sticks out a little bit. Doesn't seem to be like, you know, a throw rug type of option in this game. It's close enough. And let's demolish the roof. Well, half of it anyway. If only it was so easy building real houses. Like, you know, I don't like that. Let's just tear down this half of the house. Build it up again to the way we like it. You know, I was thinking of falling to my death right there off the roof. Actually, it's an interesting thing browsing the internet. Just the odd facts that you pick up. Just especially if you browse sites like a you know, like Reddit or pretty much any news aggregator type of site. Just the sheer amount of variety that you run across. For instance, suicides by jumping off a building are only effective about 34% of the time. Now, obviously, there's an element where people don't really want to, like, their survival instinct kicks in. And, you know, they don't just plummet headfirst into the ground. But you don't, when you don't think about stuff like that normally, it's odd when you come across it. You'd think it would be more effective, you know, leaping off a tall building to your doom. You know, it's a wonderfully happy way to start a blog, I guess. But I was actually just reading that Arrested Development, which is a fantastic comedy series. I highly recommend anybody who loves comedy watch that show. It's absolutely hilarious. But I guess Netflix is picking them up for a season. It's gonna start airing in May, which should be pretty good. The current seasons should still be available. If it should be on Netflix. But yeah, if you have Netflix, do yourself a favor, watch it. Or if you can watch it by any other means, you should get a kick out of it. It does have its... Well, I was going to say it does have its bland moments, but I found myself laughing just about every episode. I thought it was particularly funny. Especially the character Job, the brother of the main character. He's sort of a second-rate magician, or an illusionist, I suppose. But he's he chases after his passion with more zeal than his skill gives him. good for him, I guess. Even if you're bad at something, if it's something you like to do, do it. Even if it's poorly performed magic tricks. Okay. Hopefully I'm making this somewhat symmetrical. Though I have seen some interesting houses that were asymmetrical. That is a little beyond my design capabilities, I think. Let's get a little more wood. Gotta get that wood. And save some of these. Let's try that. You know, probably should make the base first. It's not fun building from the top down. Okay, there we go. Now, I guess one of the more interesting things today is actually relatively normal today, as far as like I normally take the bus to work, and you get some interesting characters. Sometimes it makes you cry and weep for the future of humanity, and sometimes it really surprises you and makes you hopeful again. One of the oh crap. It's probably not a good idea to put wood above fire, is it? Let me take these out before I burn my house down. Oh, I think I'll have to put those another brick lower. There we go. But yeah, so for instance, one of the, I would say, less polite people on the bus, this guy was talking, I think to just about anybody. He was talking to one person in particular that just kind of sat down near him, and was talking about because Obama had visited up in the area where I live at one point here in Albany, and he was complaining like, oh, you know, they only took Obama to the nice parts, and you know, if Obama was here and I was showing him around, I'd take him to all the bad parts of town, show him what it's really like here in the city. And just, you know, randomly I'm like, well, isn't it like that in every city? I mean, every city has like their grimy parts that you don't normally go to, just because, you know, high crime rates, or, you know, the drugs or just unsavory people are extremely common. And I mean, I'm like, Obama's what, from Chicago? I'm pretty sure they have, I think it was Chicago. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have it worse than Albany. I mean, Albany has some bad parts, but it's nowhere near as bad as like a large city. Yeah, at least not to scale. But I was just you know, random offhand comment, and yeah, that's why I went over there to get some food. Might have to whip some up through here, but he was apparently annoyed at that. Like, well, you know, what did he brought up? Let me just grab food so I can concentrate here. I think I'll just go up to my ship. But yeah, so he boop. Okay. Easily distracted. But yeah, so you know, I said, well, isn't it like that in every city? And he's like, for some reason, or he's like, well, you know, he went on about the shoot, I'm trying to remember. Okay, first he said something about rolling with punches, and he doesn't need to take shit, and I'm like, okay. And I don't know what that has to do with anything. And then he went on about how, with the, if you really want to know about, oh no, that's right. He said he wasn't talking about crime, and I wasn't necessarily talking about crime either. Just, bad parts of the city. And and then he said, what the real crime is? Government. I'm like, I agree with you. You're right. And that's when he got pissy. It was like, I'm just rolling with the punches. I don't need to take shit. And I'm like, since when does people agreeing with you mean you're taking shit? Like, I don't consider that taking shit if someone's just, oh yeah, you're right. And I'm just like, well, whatever. If you don't want to chit chat, that's fine. It's like, well, I wasn't talking to you. I'm like, oh, I know. I was just trying to start a conversation. If you don't want to talk, that's cool. To each their own. And then that was it. And then he went on talking to this other guy who had a kid, and he's like, yeah, see, you just got to watch out. You should make sure you teach your kid right. Don't let him mix with, with other races. I'm like, oh, okay. It's because I wasn't his race. That's why he was upset with me. And I'm classified as white, I guess. I have, half Arabic, technically. Well, sort of. Lebanese, which is technically Phoenician, but I guess they're more closely related to Greek culturally, originally, but they're Arabic speaking, so they're kind of like Syrians, or not Syrians, Persians, right? Iranians are not technically Arabic, but they're considered Arabic because of their language and region, even though they are separate genetically from your standard Arabic genome, class, culture, whatever. But honestly, if it's not of your culture, you usually don't usually have those distinctions, regardless of what it is. Like, you think African, for example. You don't think, well, South African, well, Kenyan, well, Ugandan, or whatever. Well, unless it's the Olympics, and then obviously you notice because they're always pointing it out. But there are differences, and unless it's part of your culture, you don't usually make the distinction. Like we say Native American, it's rare that we're like, well, are you, does that mean Apache? Does that mean Iroquois? Does that mean Mohawk? I mean, what do you mean when you say Native American? But one of the better things on the bus, and then I'll give an embarrassing story on the bus too after that. I was, getting on the bus, going to work. It's somewhat crowded, and, people do their own thing. Some people talking on the cell phone, some people, just talking to each other, or just reading books, or, whatever, random stuff. And, this one girl was singing to herself, just, some random songs, and, one of the, was in the back of the bus, and, a bunch of people crammed back there, and this one girl was singing, and this other person was like, oh, you sing pretty well. Do you always sing, like, pop songs, or, the modern pop songs? And she's like, oh, no, I like singing a lot of older stuff mostly, like, My Girl and stuff. And this other guy who was not in the conversation started singing My Girl. And what happened was, within just a few seconds, everybody in the back of the bus started singing along, like, all unrelated, all, doing their own thing, all singing along to My Girl. And this one girl, and the girl who originally was singing, was just kind of flabbergasted that a bunch of random strangers just broke out and started singing. And it was fantastic. It's like, it makes you enjoy being around people, and, like, even though you get bad situations, like, someone being racist and pissed that you even exist, there's plenty of good stuff that happens too. But yeah, for slightly more embarrassing, I caught in a storm once as I was walking to the bus stop, and I got completely drenched. I mean, the sky opened up, and within seconds, it was just dropping buckets of rain. And so I got on the bus. I was completely dripping wet, and like a couple of people had made some comments as I was walking towards, a seat. Well, actually towards the back, because there's spots where you can just kind of stand. That way, I didn't have to drench a seat, because I was literally soaked all the way through. And this one girl looks up and she sees me, and I'm like drenched. And I'm thinking back, I'm like, I'm not even sure if she realized that. I'm just like, and I just say, oh, I don't suppose you want to change clothes. Thinking, because, she has dry clothes, I have wet clothes. Not that, oh, you're a female and I'm a male. And she just kind of chuckled and then went back to her book. But I wonder, within seconds I realized, oh, it's possible she took that to mean something I didn't actually intend to mean. But, yeah, so, that was interesting. But it was fun going to work completely soaked. At the time, I worked at Spencer's, and so I just basically grabbed a couple of the random items from there, like Homer Simpson slippers and like a Jack Daniels a pajama bottom and just a random t-shirt, essentially. And that was my outfit for the day while my clothes dried in the back, like hung over a fan. But yeah, the bus, it's fun on the bus. You get some really interesting conversations. Sometimes it's just people rambling that they just want to talk because they can. And for the most part, you just let them do that and just smile and nod. But you do get some fantastic conversations sometimes. Just random people just decide to chit chat and about government, politics, religion, about movies, games, and like people from all walks of life that you wouldn't expect necessarily just on first glance. A good example was in a GameStop. This kid started asking about games. And like I was just talking to him and saying, oh, this game's great, that game's great. And we had this regular customer at the time, Larry, I think his name was. He's born in the 20s, I think. But he loved playing games. His wife loved to watch him play games. And he plays some of that. Like he loves Fable. He plays a lot of the shooters, stuff like that. I mean, he was a full gamer, and he joins in. He starts talking about some of the games we're mentioning, and there's essentially 3 people from entirely different generations, all chit-chatting as equals about video games. And we're discussing everything from what game is fun to play, or how to get past areas if you're stuck in certain areas, and it was really neat when you stop and go back and look at it, or not look at it, but when you consider what was actually going on, that you had, because it's not something that normally happens on a frequent basis, except as an example, like talking about video games when you have people of various generations, because it's weird to think of it, but video games are 40 years old, more so. They really started to come about in the 70s as like a major market. With Atari, ColecoVision, like the Pong machine, stuff like that, and the average age of gamers is in the 30s, I believe. But so I mean, it's not like, even though people think of it as a kids game, and while stuff like Call of Duty is kind of swamped by, well, at least as a stereotype, it's swamped by like 12-year-old kids who have very interesting things to say about your mother, I guess, or about your sexual preferences. And yeah, where do these kids live, by the way? Not in the sense that I want to find them and smack them around, but what is going on in the household where the kid can scream obscenities like he can, and nobody hears it, and nobody does anything about it? I mean, I'm sure there are cases where somebody does do something about it, but it's amazing. Like, it's weird. Like, generally, the younger kids are trying to emulate the older kids. Like, they love Call of Duty because that's what the older kids play, and that's usually what gets kids hooked on it. I mean, a lot of times they won't even know what they're getting. They just know that they want it because that's, what their older siblings or older kids they see talk about or play. And typically that's where the entry point is. A perfect example that I love bringing up in conversation when it comes to, like, commercialization and stuff. This one kid I saw in a store was at the register. The mother was paying for stuff, and the kid goes, "Oh, can I get this?" And he grabs something that's right off the counter, and the mother's like, "Oh, well, what is it?" And he's like, "I don't know." He just saw the colorful packaging and the picture on there and decided he has to have it. He was so excited to have it, and he had no idea what it was. And those are the kids that are, sending their parents out with Christmas lists, and the parents are desperately trying to find stuff because their kid must have it. And in this example, the kid probably doesn't, or he probably barely knows what he's getting. And let's see, I left the flint and tinder. There it is. That's what I want. Now, hopefully I can light this without burning the place to the ground. Luckily, it would only be the roof, so it's not too much to replace. And, wow, let's go take a look at the roof. Should be okay. Looks like it's far enough away. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better for the roof. Well, actually, it looks a little weird. It looks like the building is wearing a hat from this angle, which I'm okay with. A behatted building. I think everybody needs to see one of those in their lifetime. And maybe another painting or two. Should be okay. Maybe throw a small one up here. No, a small one. That's pretty good. Lighting's pretty good. I'll just have to keep an eye on the roof, make sure it's not catching fire. Lighting in there is pretty good. And I do still want to build like a porch out here, but I think I really need to build a forge because I kind of want to build rails. I need the oven for that, and if I'm gonna make an oven to make rails, I might as well just build a place for it, being a forge. Let me bury the interdiction torches though, so they're not just sticking out like sore thumbs. There we go. So the great thing with the new year is it's now a countdown until sailing season starts. One of my favorite hobbies is I race sailboats on a small lake, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm not saying it's more fun than any other hobby. It's just I get a huge amount of enjoyment out of it. It's a good mix of strategy, of a good test of physical ability. I mean, it's not like the large boats where you're just, oh, that's a bad idea. It's not like the larger boats where you're just kind of sitting, steering, pulling in a few ropes that are aided by a series of pulleys or anything. I mean, you have to be in you're hiking out most of the time. You need to have good, like, oh, there's a little mushroom place. You have to be reasonably well, what's that spider? Nope. You have to be, reasonably capable physically, not necessarily like in the best of shape, but willing to push yourself, which is what I like. You know, I like the challenge physically and mentally, because you have to stay focused when you're in a boat. You know, not just watching for other boats, like for traffic, but you know, you're watching for puffs of wind. The wind direction could change. There's indicators that you have to keep looking for, like how other boats are lined up against the wind, or you know, the lines on the water. So you're focusing on all of that, watching for other boats, constantly challenging yourself, you know, tacking side to side in the boat and trying to keep the boat flat so you're not tipping over. And it's just a rush. It's a lot of fun when you get on a good, you know, good beat, or you just get the sails, they just snap into place full of air, and they just start dragging the boat along, and you're fighting it like it's like a bull trying to kick you, basically. It's a lot of fun, and I always look forward to getting back to that in the summertime. Not at the moment, though, because the lake is probably still drained. It's a small lake where they empty most of it. Actually, the lake only exists because of a dam. Otherwise, I guess it's like 2 or 3 ponds, and when they dam it up, it becomes a full lake. And then they lower it again to help alleviate some of the damage ice can cause, as well as other benefits. Like it cuts back on weed growth, and it's a really nice lake, though. No motorboats allowed. It's all paddle boats, sailboats, rowboats, canoes. There are electric motors allowed, but only under certain horsepower. And it's just basically like a few pontoon boats and a couple fishing motors, maybe like on a rowboat. What's really nice, though, is there's a small, like, private airport nearby. So you get a lot of the small, like, stunt planes and, like, small, like, Cessna type planes kind of floating over the lake. It's really serene, very, very relaxing up there. And that starts right around like a week or so before 4th of July, I think. So yeah, that'll still several months to go, but it'll probably go pretty quick. And so yeah, if I can get out of here, I'm gonna say this building looks pretty good. Again, I'll go through and add an outdoor area here. Kind of probably like tables and chairs like that, just to make it look nice. And you got the beds, and let's use the beds. I can't, because there's monsters. Let's take a look around, see where they are. Probably here. Or in the other cave. Wow, those things are like ninjas. Let's try now. No. It's probably directly underneath, which I've filled in. That guy just chilling. Holy cow, what the? There's a creeper up there blowing crap up. I think there's some sort of convention going on. Alright, well, that's broken up. I think I'll put some torches down here and leave them here. Just prevent the monsters from spawning. Nope. You got kicked over by the torch. Should be good. Put a few more up here. Alright, that should be a little bit better. Won't be quite so packed, I think. And maybe we can use the bed now that it's daytime. Can only sleep at night. Oh, no you don't. I think I'll have to put in one of those lanterns somewhere right around here. It's kind of a gap in the defenses, I think. Alright, well, that should be good for now. I might start building the forge. But, I'll do that later. Have a good one, people.